And we are live with another episode of Be the Exception podcast.
That's right.
2 weeks in a row, Dan. When was the last time this happened?
Since easily before Thanksgiving. Actually, before that, like before Halloween.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Because we were going to do like a live Kill Tony type of episode, and that would have been the last time. It would have been 2 weeks in a row, but I couldn't make it because I had. It was because I had to leave on a different day for Vegas for the grid match out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now we are live on tape.
Live on tape, yes.
Well, this morning, Kyle and audience, we're talking about the concepts of the judging system for the online qualifiers, specifically referencing a post by Jason Grubbs.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of like a starting point, maybe.
Yeah, I think everyone should need. I think
because we're in the midst of qualifiers. I think actually this is going to come out on the day that it finalizes. What's the date today?
Today is the 18th.
Monday, so it'll be a day before everything finalizes.
What does the post say? Like, I don't know, like a bell curve. I mean, obviously, don't read it word for word, but
basically, what's been going on inside of the age group qualifier, well, just this year in general, is like it's another year of change for everyone because that's the only thing that's constant in CrossFit.
Has there ever been like a year to year where it's been the same after regionals?
I think 21 to 22 is the same.
Really?
No, I think they changed up how they drew the individual. Yeah, no, that was a change. Maybe.
Wasn't that
that one was the same. I think that one was the same.
That wasn't the Blue Jugs year with the old people on couches?
That was not 2019, 2020. I think, yeah, sorry.
Staying on track. My bad.
21 to 22 is like the only year. So there's changes again this year. Obviously, I think we've discussed a lot of those changes, but one of the things that we're experiencing right now is the video review process for this year is interesting, to say the least.
What is the starting point of the video review system, I guess? Is that mentioned on that post?
This was one big thing that like they announced a couple weeks ago, maybe before the Open or right before age group semifinals, that they were basically passing off a lot of the video review responsibility to the public. And the public
are you serious?
Was going to go in and video review, and then they were going to either like or it was like a thumbs up was like good video, thumbs down was needs review, and there was another option that was like unviewable.
So the public.
So
like,
the public
what do you mean the public?
Yeah, like, so like the public,
like
anyone,
Gen Pop class.
If you ever,
people,
I believe it was. I didn't review any of them or go and like. I watched some, but I didn't like grade any of them. But I believe it was anybody with a CrossFit account could go in and either say good video, needs review, or unwatchable.
That makes a lot of sense now. Why I was seeing like the posts of some people who have been in this sport for years. And they greatly understand the movement standards, and they meet the movement standards better than most. Mm-hmm. All of their videos were under review, every single one of them.
Yeah, so there's a lot of controversy that's going on with it right now.
That's so wild.
So, they opened it up after the leaderboards went live. They opened it up for I think like a week, maybe 5 days. I can't remember the exact dates for the public to come in and judge people's videos. And then essentially what CrossFit was trying to do was use that as like a filter for their judges to come in and view the videos. So anything that had – so this is one thing that we'll get into, but it's not really transparent on what videos would get flagged or not.
Yeah.
So so nobody really knows what that whole process did, basically, is one kind of big complaint. Is like, do you need a 3-to-1 ratio? Do you need a 2-to-1 ratio? Is it a 1-to-1 ratio? They come in and review it. Are they still reviewing everybody's videos? Like, there's not a lot of clarity on the process.
Have they ever been reviewing everyone's videos?
Yeah, there's that too. So there's not a lot of clarity on the process that's going into it, which it would be. I guess we can get into this point now, but I think one of the big things around that's a big issue with all of this is the transparency of how the judging process works online. And I think this goes back years. But kind of one big issue that somebody was kind of stating right off the bat was there's not really a comment. So like if they're trying to pass off work to people, there's not a comment section. There's just a needs review. So the judge still has to come in and figure out what everybody else was seeing that needs review, and then use their discretion on whether that was taking a guess at what everybody else was saying was needs review, and then use their judging discretion to decide whether that was an actual review, like penalty or not.
I feel like there's going to be outlier cases where it's helpful, right? But I feel the bell curve under this is just going to add more time.
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of the process that everyone went under. You can't see who comes in and judges the video. So you can't see who comes in and is clicking the good or needs review or whatever.
You don't know how long they've had a CrossFit account. Or they could have a brand new account, right? And be able to log into it and have years of experience or an account for a long time but never been to a CrossFit gym.
Yeah. So it could be
Jesus Christ, man.
you could hate somebody enough and go in and create 50 Gmail accounts, go negative all their videos when it could be a very good video.
Yep.
Which now that just takes time away from CrossFit finding actual flaws in videos because they're going to
You mean people might troll?
Yeah, right.
Damn.
So that's kind of the biggest issue. And when I went on to the leaderboard after after it populated, I was like, I think it was a day after, I just started clicking random videos to like try and see what was good and what wasn't. And literally, at the time that I went on, it kind of adjusted itself. But at the time that I went on, there were more on almost 90% of the videos that I clicked. There were more needs reviews than good reviews on every single one of them.
That makes sense.
There was not a single one that was like a good over. There was like 3 that were over.
That I would expect that 100%.
Yeah. And now so I think that was pretty early on. It has kind of like balanced itself out a little bit. And I tried to look through a couple different divisions. I don't have a lot of time to like dive into research on this and like really investigate that. So that might have just been, I might have been clicking on some things that were just like, I got crazy statistically lucky and clicked on all the anomalies. Right?
True, but there's also a component where like one of the athletes, I won't say a name, but one of the athletes that I referenced earlier with the every single video got flagged, needs review or whatnot.
Yeah,
that pushed like all the people they work with or that their networking they know that actually does have a good eye for movement. They weren't. They were kind of falling in the realm like us, like not gonna do the whole thing.
Yeah,
all of his people did, and then his shit switched from needs review to like out of all the videos, I think half of them went from needs review to just fine.
Yeah.
So maybe it pushed. I mean, yeah, you could have got statistically lucky, but maybe it just pushed people to do shit. But
right.
That doesn't make sense. That I get that CrossFit's about community, but is that just a Hail Mary to get the community involved, to get back to support the games, or get back to the support that process?
It could have been. That's a good point. I haven't really thought of that one, but I really think if you bring it back to who's in control of CrossFit right now, it's private equity, right?
Yeah.
And so their goal is to try and pass things off as much as possible, or make the balance sheet look as profitable as possible. And I think it was the public, but it was just a way to pass off work. Actually, I might be wrong on this as well, but I think you might have had to take the judges course to.
I would hope so,
right?
Because
to review a video,
that wouldn't make sense to cut that out entirely.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a little bit more of a cash grab. You had to pay to take the judges course.
It's probably inflated to $40 now.
There was an advanced judges course that was like $50. I can't remember how much they cost, but so you had to pay to take that, and then you could go and judge. So like from a private equity standpoint, when whoever like came up with this proposal figured out that, oh my God, we can make CrossFitters pay to do our work for us, literally better than slave labor. It's like,
so it's more like.
It was like that person was probably like salivating when they found that out.
Of course. It's like, to me, it sounds like a more expansive L1. Because like,
kind of.
Being the intern, the L1 intern,
yeah,
you were free labor.
But you're paying
this is
to
different.
do
Yeah,
like,
yeah, like
it's
that's-
a great like I don't know of any other example like this in history. So it's a wild concept.
That really is.
That I think probably on the back end made more work for them, but it also made them money. So bottom line, they're coming out positive on this, right? So maybe it was a draw to get the community in, but I mean that at this point in time, that draw to get the community in was, with where the community is at, it's much more. Anything online has become just a bully fest.
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
There's nothing constructive online around the
No.
CrossFit community anymore. Really,
No.
I shouldn't say nothing, but like there's a lot of.
It's shifted. The paradigm has shifted greatly to
Yeah.
where it's far more negative. But
Yeah.
I mean, if that's a Hail Mary, if that, hey, public, review this for us, is a Hail Mary to get the community, I guess kudos in that regard, but the hole that CrossFit has to dig out of is ridiculous.
It's
but,
a big hole, yeah. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
big hole. So,
go ahead.
yeah, sorry, I was just going to go on. So that was kind of like step one. That's like the issue.
What's step two?
Or I guess issue number one was that.
What's issue number two?
Now we're starting to find out. So as is tradition, people are just kind of ratting other people out, good or bad, I don't know. But and actually, this might have been a process on the judges or on the back side of things. Again, transparency is not really there.
Yeah.
But they found out that a lot of people didn't have level ones when they judged athletes. So in the rule book, it stated that you had to have a head judge and a floor judge, and both of them had to have at minimum level ones. And it was found out that a lot of floor judges did not have level ones. And so if we trickle it back, this process from the get-go is kind of fucked because people are having to find, up to, like, at minimum 2 people to come and video. Sorry, the coffee maker's on.
Oh, okay.
Up to 2 people at minimum to come and judge you with level ones inside of their gym. Possibly more to come and help change weights, help set up camera measurements, like all that stuff, support system. So you're trying to find people over the course of a weekend to come into the gym on their weekend to do all this stuff. And it's like that whole nobody's getting paid for this. It's all volunteer on their time, which is cool. Like,
Yeah.
that is a big part of the community is people love to support other people. But to ask that of however many thousands of athletes they had competing this last weekend that's a crazy ask in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm in firm agreement. So you have the public judging, then you have a high volume required.
Yeah, well,
to make
I
the
guess
judging review, like to make this process.
So, yep, and then
valuable.
because of that high volume, people were just like, "Come judge me," like whatever. And you're having a lot of people that have had either one, they had expired L1s and didn't know it, maybe didn't know it. I don't know. Didn't have an L1. There's even a gym that had a lady. This is crazy. So if I'm understanding this correct, Hiller did a whole thing on this. The lady came in, said a name, was the floor judge. The name that she's had an L1. But then when you went on the gym's Instagram page, like a couple videos earlier, there was that girl in like a gym video introducing herself as somebody completely different.
Dude, you gotta check your back. You gotta check your track, man. If you're gonna do a little white lie, you gotta make sure everything's covered.
So
shit.
Yeah. So it ended up, and like, I guess there were people that hired out a judge's course or a judging entity that ended up, one of the guys didn't have an L1. So like everybody that got judged by that guy should have gotten fucked. We'll dive into that a little bit more.
Okay.
And it just became chaos. Like it is another money grab. Like, oh, you don't have your level 1 to judge people. Like, what are you doing? So you have to have a level 1 to judge people, right? So that's a huge barrier to entry again into the sport. And we've talked about this on a previous podcast. You can't continue to contract the size of the sport. You have to figure out a way to expand the size of the sport if you're going to grow.
Yep.
Like it seems like this whole business objective is contraction rather than expansion. their whole business model is contraction rather than expansion. I don't know. Like, I think that they're thinking expansion comes from having more people have to go to a level 1. Like, we can bump our level 1 numbers up by forcing people to have a level 1 to judge people. More profit coming from judges courses. But again, that's raising barrier to entry. It's off-putting people to your competition. And at the end of the day, it becomes a negative influx of people rather than a growth factor. It becomes a growth factor in dollar signs, but long-term growth factor drastically decreases because of that.
It almost sounds like a form of self-sabotage, like it's developing the grassroots of it.
It's a form to sell a company within a 3 to 5 year period.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like, if you can just hold on for 3 to 5 years, show that it's profitable, a buyer will come in, like they're trying to sell right now. A buyer will come in and have to pay a multiple for that company.
Okay.
So I think it's ultimately just a private equity business practice, basically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
so then once they found out that people didn't have judges or didn't have L1s, instead of giving all those athletes zeros, which should have been the case, they decided to say that they were going to put zeros on the leaderboards for now, have their professional behind-the-scenes judges do their video reviews on all their videos, and then reassess the scores. So once again, CrossFit is bending the rules for people. I don't know. I don't know if it was a set organization or what, but their claim was, because this is a new process and people are learning, this will be the only time that we're going to make this exception. And it's like, you gotta set an example with people. Like, you have to do it. Otherwise, your rules are never going to be enforceable.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just, people are going to see that because it's terrible leadership. People are going to see that, and they're going to end up leaving because of it, because people don't follow people that don't have a spine. Right. So they're going to end up leaving at some point in time because of that. So,
well,
those are kind of the big issues with the whole judging process, right, and whole new system implemented right now.
It's. No, I'm sorry. I'm processing it, trying to follow it in regards to how it, or in reference to how it follows the pyramid scheme of the open qualifier and all that shit we talked about in the one episode.
Right.
How in God's name? I just want to be a fly on the wall sometimes
In their meetings.
Yeah. Because like I just see them like, how can we fuck these people over now? It's almost like a purge type of scenario.
It's almost
those higher ups, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's an inadvertent thing. It's not necessarily like we're going to try and screw this company over. It's more of an inadvertent thing, because their whole, like, private equity's whole philosophy is to make money.
Yeah.
And sell the business. Whatever happens after that sale, they don't care about. All they care about is selling that business, because that's their business model.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I guess I accept that.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know. Being a part of this thing since like its near beginning and seeing this shit.
Oh yeah, it's
just
brutal.
It sucks.
Yeah,
it really does. But I mean, in the selfish lens, it's gonna help other things I'm involved with explode.
Right.
But I'm not going down that. So let's, if you're ready for it, like let's talk about how could this be better? Like what bodies could be implemented to make this better? Like, do you want to start with your opinion? Do you want to start with like an objective state, or do you want,
well, I mean, all this is going to be opinion, right? Because like you
yeah.
don't like. I don't have any like business plan written up for this,
I mean, you do have a very objective mind, so yeah, it's opinionated, but I think everyone will understand how, like, where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And if you catch yourself not making sense, you'll fix it.
Hopefully.
Well,
right.
If you don't, someone will say, "Hey, that doesn't make sense because of that," and you will take the information in,
Yeah,
and be like, "You're wrong." Or, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
reframe it.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the skeletal frame.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think one thing, transparency would be super important for, and this goes back to last year with the box step ups. Nobody from my, and it even goes back further to, I don't know if you remember, what was it, Cedric Laplante or something like that. He was from Canada.
Yeah.
And he took a bunch of no reps on that snatch
Yep.
and burpee workout.
Yeah, I remember that.
And somebody behind the scenes emailed him and was like, your judge just gave you a bunch of no reps or something like that. This is 4 or 5 years ago. If you guys want to go look at it.
It was short. It was the 21.
Yeah. So, and he took that email. They basically said that the judge didn't accurately
He made it
judge.
public.
And he took the email, made it public, apparently got messages from CrossFit being like, where the F did you get this from? And he's like, I'm not telling you, fix my score. And they ended up fixing his score, and he ended up qualifying for a semifinal because they fixed his score. Because they fixed his score. And there was no actual validation to his no reps, basically. So like whoever it was just essentially didn't like the guy, apparently. And
I remember
no reps
vividly when that happened because I believe he was still living here.
Yeah,
when it occurred.
So kind of goes back to that because I think that's when the mass video review process started happening. Well, I think that was maybe 2021. I can't remember. And there's been no transparency behind the process of how these things get judged. Right. And I think that's step one, is providing the transparency behind how these video reviews are conducted and how, so that athletes can help the judge when the judge is reviewing the videos.
Yep. The only transparency I'm personally aware of is the grainy ass videos that we had to watch during the level 3 exam.
Yeah, sure.
That's the only transparency I was ever known.
Yeah.
To I'm sorry, that I was ever aware of.
Yeah. Are you talking about like what exactly are you like
during
behind the scenes in the level 3 or
so like during the level 3 when you're taking that test they have you like judge the videos.
Yeah, they do that for the judges course too.
So the difference is like the videos in the judges courses, at least the ones that I took, you could see quite clearly like it was slow. It was like not necessarily slow motion, but it was like high quality HD, 4K, 8K, whatever the hell. This was like 480 pixel or 720 pixelated, like bad internet connection videos that they had us watch
and pick the fault out.
And pick the faults. No, it was like a whole fucking workout that these people did, and we had to take notes on like, misrep. And we had to fit a range of like 2 to 3 no reps.
Yeah,
it's like I can't fucking see.
Yeah,
because the camera angle was either bad, the film was super grainy.
Right.
It did that little like 1990s cable, HBO when you're trying to see the titties, someone the little, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like it was just bullshit. That's the only amount of transparency. It circles back to the transparency part. I agree with you. Like that's it.
Yeah, but I mean that's not necessarily transparency either.
Right,
like,
I agree fully.
That's
the highest amount I ever saw.
That's like one of their systems that they've put in place for people to increase their knowledge base. Is this very subjective?
Well, that meets their definition of transparency.
But like transparency is like the transparency I'm talking about is like how the judging process takes place. What are the judges doing to, look at the videos? Are they watching them in full speed? Are they slowing them down? Are they speeding them up? Are they watching the whole thing? Like
it's a big one.
How are they?
Do they stop once they reach 15 reps of no reps or something?
Yeah, right. Like, how are you deciding which videos to watch? How are you deciding which videos to not watch? I think the community as a whole kind of understands. Like, man, you got 1,000+ videos to watch, or 5,000+ videos to watch in a 10-day period. What is that? If you just math that out, that's 50,000 minutes. Or if you say every workout's like an average of 10 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. What is that? So 5,000 times 10 equals 50,000 divided by 60.
Yeah.
833 hours of videos to watch in 10 days. Roughly,
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wait, and that's Yeah.
There's more hours than that, or there's less hours than that in 10 days, right?
Divided by 24. 34 hours
34
a day
days,
that you have to
or
watch.
34 hours a day you have to watch.
Yeah.
That checks out.
So, well, but that's over a course of judges, right? And
Yeah.
I don't. But I don't know if that's an average. So maybe that's doable over the course of 10 days, right? So like
To watch 34 hours a day?
over the course of all judges.
All judges. Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
sorry.
maybe that's doable. But then the transparency aspect comes in of like,
Yeah.
like, so actually it might even be more than that because they have 30 people qualifying for the games in each division, 60 people per division, or per 60 people per division, both male and female. And they each have 5 videos, right? Did I do that right?
It's a good thing there was a 33% decrease.
Yeah, right. Well, that's only for the qualifying spots.
Yeah.
And this goes into transparency again. How far are you going down the list to watch videos? Are you going to the 50th place? Are you going to 60th place? Are you going to 70th place? Are you just stopping at 30?
Does anybody know?
Exactly. Well, this is what I'm talking about. Transparency.
Yeah.
If you can give examples of that, people will be significantly less frustrated with the process.
Yeah.
Then if you tell people how the process works, if you tell people, like last year they were talking, they no-repped a lot of people for a subtle movement standard, basically where you held your gaze on the box step ups. Some people hold their gaze down at the box so they can see the box, and they didn't consider that full extension because now they needed to raise your head up. Which
I remember those like meme videos or shit that like
Yeah.
Pat didn't Vellner come out with, and
Yeah.
a few others. Like that was wild.
Well,
that standard alone.
I think it was in the standards. So
Yeah.
to be fair, believe it was in the standards.
But how do they judge it?
Well, I mean, they watch the video and see where you're holding your gaze. The issue is they also preach a lot of safety, and it's not safe to just keep moving your head up and down. So, it's, and a lot of it, you can come back and retrain that. But if they're like, our point of emphasis that we're looking for on this workout is your head position, or like our 3 points of emphasis that we're looking for on this specific movement is knee extension, both feet on the box, and your gaze, like where your gaze is, giving people more feedback on what it is exactly that the judges are looking for would be super helpful for people. Because that, like, it felt like there was a miscommunication last year on really what was supposed to be expressed from a capacity standpoint on that workout. And the other issue with just online things in general is a lot of the time you kind of have to just risk it to play the game with other people because you don't know if their videos are going to get reviewed or not.
Right.
But if you know the process, everybody's videos getting reviewed, then you can, instead of speeding up the reps to keep up with everybody else, because that's the baseline for competing in the sport right now, you know that, okay, everybody's video is getting watched in this. If I have shitty movement quality, I'm going to get no reps. If they have shitty movement quality, they're going to get no reps. Or they're not moving the standard, they're going to get no reps. And so that gives the athlete a little bit more confidence to come and attack the workout closer to or making sure that they're really upholding the movement standard. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. And my solution to that is, maybe CrossFit should just hire Hiller and have him watch everyone's videos.
Well, that's one of the things that is coming out is like a third party needs to be doing this review, and that's one of the it's one of the processes that people say it needs to be done, which
it makes sense in my mind.
I don't disagree with it. Also, it just if that is the case, both parties again need to be transparent on what it is that the judges are looking for. Like in the NFL, you have to come back and explain a foul that you gave, right? Or like
penalty.
Sorry, in the NBA, yeah. And in the NBA, you have to come back like after a review happens, like you have to explain that foul. And every single league has a retroactive like after actions that the referees have to file or the umpires have to file in baseball. So it's like, why isn't CrossFit being upheld to that standard as well of having to come back and explain? I was watching all these videos. This was the review process that I went to, yada, yada, yada. That, and maybe they do that and it's all internal. Again, transparency.
Well, wouldn't it make so? What you're referencing are professional sports.
Yeah.
Right? Is CrossFit a professional
True.
sport?
It's
yet?
not. It's
still amateur. It's still pay to play, right?
It's still
unless
pay to play.
unless you win the games.
Unless you win the game. It's a professional sport for a ridiculously small percentage of people.
Yeah.
Now you can argue that point that the NFL, the NBA, the MLB is all very small percentage of people.
Of course. But they write paychecks to every athlete. Even in the minor leagues.
Right. So
whereas CrossFit does not.
Yeah.
Like the Weekend Warrior or just go to go to Fitness of the Coast, Wadapalooza. Like those are bigger, but they're like the double A's, triple A's of the CrossFit Games, right?
Yeah.
They don't get a handwritten check from the CrossFit Games for their time that they spent training to win this bonus.
Yeah. Right.
So in that case, I'm going to argue that CrossFit doesn't need to do that
fair.
because it's an amateur sport still, and that's not a requirement in amateur sports.
I think that's a fair argument as well.
It's annoying.
It's super annoying. Yeah. Yeah. It's super annoying. And it's like
Otherwise, Grid would have it already.
Yeah, right.
And they need it. We need it.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's a fair argument as well. I think a lot of frustration comes from the fact that I think CrossFit tries to we are a professional sport. I don't think anyone's ever come out and said that, but you have people making money off of your sport, making a living off of your sport. And so I think in that sense it is a professional sport because you do have people making a living off of just doing CrossFit.
Yeah, but not from CrossFit unless they're hired by CrossFit.
Unless they win the games.
Right, unless they win the games. Those are the only people in my mind that are. But how many years can winning the CrossFit Games sustain your life? Matt Fraser's now would be considered fully retired, right?
Right.
He won $1.25 million.
I think last year up to 10th or 15th place got a payout that was enough to live off of for the year.
1 year.
Yeah.
1 year solo, no family to take care of.
Right.
Cetera,
but
right?
in the beginning of if you go back to NBA in the 70s, those people.
Well, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, valid point.
It's still in its infancy, right?
Yeah.
Those people played. I think Phil Jackson talked about I played for 5 years and then went back to North Dakota to live on the farm.
Yeah, I mean, professional sports didn't start making money until the 80s or 90s, right?
Right. So
that's a valid point. That's fair. I mean, it is only. Well, I mean, the CrossFit Games
20 years in.
Yeah, it's 20 years in. So I guess
basketball was. When was basketball invented? I can't even remember. 13s, 30s. Took 30 years for basketball to really take off.
Yeah, it didn't start getting super popular till the 20s, teens and 20s. Nah, maybe later than that. Maybe the 40s and 50s.
I think it was the 60s, 70s where it started to get real popular. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't.
Well,
remember
I'm from Indiana, and it was very popular in the 30s and 40s because we shucked corn and played ball.
Yeah,
that was about it.
Fair. But when did it start? When was it invented?
Indiana basketball? I don't know.
No, when was basketball invented?
I have no idea.
Okay.
We can
Google that
later, but the. I mean, CrossFit is in its infancy, I guess. It's the first games was in.
But I think one of the other issues is 1891, so it took almost 70 years. But I think one of the issues is people perceive, because there isn't a lot of communication and transparency from CrossFit, that things continually walk themselves backwards in the sport.
That's what it's definitely been,
because it always kind of downsizes.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think a step in the right direction for getting people back on board would be talking about how we do our judging standard, how we're training our judges, how we're expecting our judges to behave, the etiquette from our judges, etc. And then kind of let people take it from there. I still think at the end of the day, like a judge's rule is the final rule. Like,
Of course.
they're there for a reason. They're there to uphold the standards of the sport. But how is CrossFit communicating how they're upholding the standards of the sport?
So 51% transparency. Like that's the big. That's 51%. I'm using that as an arbitrary number or percentage. Like that's where the greatest improvement needs to occur. To help with the issues, transparency.
I think so. Yeah,
I would agree fully.
Yeah, and then it becomes like, how do you create the systems around that? I think transparency is the first step. Like how the hell does all this process work? And then you can come back around and create the better systems for it, because it just seems like the systems that they've created over the years just are not good.
Like, current systems, judging course,
and like
level ones, right? That's what you're referencing.
Well, I'm referencing the competition aspect in general.
Right.
So they have to do a mass competition. They have to do a mass competition. It makes sense for them to do a second mass competition, i.e. quarterfinals, and it makes sense for them to then take people from quarterfinals to a live competition. Essentially, this year, all they did was downsize quarterfinals and called it
everything.
They called
different.
They called it semifinals. You're still getting people that are qualifying for in-person events. So there's still a process. There's like a similar process to it, if that makes sense.
It does.
I totally lost my train of thought there. But
it's all the system. We were talking about the system.
Yeah, but like there's never been a great system around an online competition. There have been complaints to online competitions indefinitely since they created the Open.
Yeah, of course.
People cheat them. People, slip through the cracks, etc. Like, I mean, no shit. Like, you could have lied your way into semifinals for age group this year. Just putting random. Yeah. And like, I think the book might still be out on this kid, but I mean, look at Cole Lehman. Like, nobody's seen a single video of him doing the Open. And he didn't look too great at Mayhem.
No.
Like, there is competition anxiety, but like it seems like a track record with him type thing. So, but who knows? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that whole situation. So
he could have been sick or something.
Could have been sick,
and that didn't come out publicly.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a potential for another side of the story there.
There is, yeah, and like I think at this point in time, it's all speculation because he's not disclosing his side of the situation.
He
but
could have been going through a divorce or something. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah,
I don't know how old he is. I don't even know who the guy is.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's an interesting one. So just the mass amounts of individuals inside of online competitions are going to have issues. And then if you go and look at some of the things that happened in the age group semifinal in regards to some of the I watched a video of a lady who's in a qualifying spot right now in the shoulder to overhead workout, row shoulder to overhead. On the last barbell, she literally walked her rep past the line of where she was supposed to be doing her clean and jerks or her jerks, and then proceeded to do her final rep completely out of the zone. Not to mention her foot was crossing over the line several times on her set of 9 clean and jerks.
So not legal.
But also, like, that's on the judge for being like, back up. Like, you're getting real close to that line, So it's like, so there's that component of it. Like, the judge, like, you're asking people to judge in person who aren't properly trained to judge in person. They're, going and getting your level 1's a weekend thing. It's cool to do. It's fun. Like, they might not even coach classes. So how many hours are they actually watching people move and like move to quality? Are they upholding themselves to moving people at a high quality? Probably not. Most people in a class setting are there just to be cheerleaders and hang out with people and get a free gym membership.
Yep.
So, but now that individual is allowed to judge somebody to go to the games.
So, all right, I'm gonna devil's advocate this. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna input something based on what I've not deduced here, but I'm gonna throw out an opinion.
Yeah.
Similar to how marathon running is.
Yeah.
You have to do X number of marathons, and you have to. there are certain ones that'll help you qualify for the big dogs, like the Boston Marathon. You have to hit a certain time and you have to go at a certain location to qualify for it, right?
Yeah.
Why can't CrossFit do the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, that would be great.
Like, you have to do a local competition. You have to have X number of local comps.
Yeah.
Okay? And the judges are this third-party system.
Yeah,
right?
I think they don't want to give up control of anything would be my guess. And to run those competitions would cost them money.
Right. So right now, right, it may not be in the cards.
Yeah.
But
what I think, I mean, that would be the live competitions are always better than online competitions.
yeah.
For what they're trying to do with the sport, how their system is set up, and I honestly, for majority of systems, how they're set up, they pretty much have to do it the way that they're doing it. What I think actually might end up happening is AI will start to take over the video review process.
That's fair. I mean, that would...
I don't know. I don't think it's at that point yet, but maybe within the next 4 to 5 years, you could have trained an AI system to do video review for you.
Do you feel that would be more helpful?
I think you could. I think the biggest issue is the amount of manpower it takes to watch all those videos.
Yep.
So now, as people are uploading their videos, the other thing too is like you can upload that. Let's say they do have an AI watching it. You could upload that video to the AI to start and find out if you have any no reps on it and what your actual score is.
Yeah.
Because the thing is like in a live competition, you can fix whatever the fuck is going on. Your judge, you can ask your judge and they'll tell you. Mm-hmm. In an online competition, the judge that's there is honestly just there to be like, hey, I think you could get no rep for this.
Yeah.
Probably stand your squats up a little bit more.
Yep.
And count reps. Because ultimately on the floor, it's not their call whether you get the no rep or not. It's the online judge's call whether you get the no rep or not. So I also think being able to, in competition, have some sort of support or framework of like telling an athlete, yes, these are good, or no, these are not good reps, so that they can come back and retest the workout in your window, which is also an issue, that you give them to test the workouts would be good.
So I'm going to argue that, like, I think that AI is probably, if you want to maintain the online thing, I think AI is probably the best bet.
I think so too.
Right now.
Yeah.
I think that it should not take 4 to 5 years to program that.
Okay, that's fair.
Just because of how, I mean, look, technology is so fucking advanced. Like, college kids are using AI for, I mean, yeah, Chat GPT and whatnot, but college kids are figuring out AI within a week.
Yeah, right.
Now, when it comes to like the creation of like being able to test the algorithm of this, that, and the other for whatever AI you're using, go to like high level engineering school and have the kids do a project on it for give them a semester to finish their thesis or some shit. Like you can utilize like the youth because they're going to be smarter than us for the most part when it comes to like anything spectrum related with shit like this.
Yeah.
It will not take 4 to 5 years to develop, and it can hopefully, in my opinion here, after you say that, I think it can hopefully get CrossFit out of this hole of the judging bullshit. It could be a great start. However, I'm going to argue, circling back to what I said about like the in-person, the live shit, if they get the third-party system or whatever judges for the qualify for, or do so many competitions to qualify for...
Are you talking about a circuit or like small local competitions that you're doing?
So like you have to hit a certain number of small local ones.
So this
right?
I'm just gonna throw a wrench in this equation real quick.
Please do.
And maybe you can fix
well,
it.
It might fix my mind on it.
Who is paying for those small local competitions?
So it would all be run by like CrossFit would have to run the organization. This one would take the most amount of money on CrossFit's side.
So that's an issue.
Yes, it is an issue, and but it would maintain consistency, and it's live in person. Transparency would be a little more available. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's why like
so.
Look, it's this what I'm saying with that is way the fuck out in the future, if at all possible.
If at all possible.
Because like.
But it also kind of takes away from what CrossFit was. The Open is designed to build a community.
Well, right, and that's if we're just talking about the sport side of it right now, not the community aspect. So like, I don't
Yeah.
disagree with that one bit. Like you can still like then it's up to the gyms alone to maintain the community
I agree with that,
aspect.
yeah.
So you can separate community and sport. There's an opportunity to do that.
Yes, and I think that needs to happen. Well, I don't think you need to separate community and sport, but I do think you need to separate fitness and sport.
Yeah, sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I meant. That's what I
Yeah,
meant. Yeah.
I think community and sport can still be merged. It's challenging, as
Yeah.
many people who've run a competitors class inside of a gym know. It is challenging. You have a lot of personalities, but it's possible. It is 100% possible. But I think that the fitness and the sport side of things are completely different things and need to be separated.
Of course, and
There's a lot of people that will debate that aspect of things, which I think they have valid points as well. But there's a lot. I think they're completely. Susie Q's not doing the same thing coming off the street as Scott Panchik is doing in the gym.
right, right.
You know, what her workout looks like is completely different than what Scott Panchik's workout is like, even if you scale it down. So, yeah, I do think. Yeah, sorry, that was a little bit of tangent.
No, I mean it's not a tangent. It all applies to like.
But
we're
I
talking
think-
about.
Sorry, go ahead.
We're talking about the transparency aspect for the
Yeah.
judging, and we're talking about like okay the systems piece.
Yeah.
So like this does all apply to the systems piece.
Yeah.
It would.
It does, but I think what we're trying to look for is immediate change in the system
Okay. Yeah.
rather than 10 years down the road if it were to grow to that point.
Yeah. That's
Right.
Yep.
And so I think immediate change in the system can happen through transparency, right? I think that automatically improves the system.
Yep.
But then also, I don't know how long it would take to train an AI to do that. Maybe they could do it in a year. I don't know.
I assume it'd be really quick with how fast AI has grown.
Yeah. So the other thing is like, if CrossFit can just find some people to develop and train that AI, now they have a crazy IP that they can sell for stupid amounts of money.
Yep.
And that, there's a growth factor for you.
Yep.
And so, like, that's why I'm just so baffled by people who are, you know, the people that are running this company and private equity in general is like, you're looking to change. You're just looking to manipulate the dollar signs. You're not actually looking to grow a company. And it's like you have the possibility to expand this thing exponentially. Like whether like, so creating the advanced judges course, honestly, I'm okay with. I think you could debate whether or not like how beneficial that advanced judges courses is actually, and its practical application in regards to what the on-floor judge's actual job is when you start looking at the details of things.
Yep.
Because they're just there to. I think this might be a no rep and count. But I'm fine with those two things because it can boost people's knowledge base, right?
Yep.
But you also people have to submit their videos somehow, right?
Yeah.
Why have you not created an app yet that people have to pay $10 to get to put their videos into your scoring system? Maybe there's some patents around that, like WadUp has a patent, or WadProof has a patent on it or something like that. But that seems like an easy cash grab to get.
Oh, 100% because apps don't cost that much to run relative to if you require $9.99 download.
Yeah. Make it a subscription base.
Yeah.
Something. You know, like it seems like that's a whole other business revenue that they could go down that they, for whatever reason, just have not decided to go down, you know?
There's got to be some cost related shit there, man. Or like,
Yeah, probably.
hell, I don't know. I mean, it's a worldwide company, not just a national company. So maybe there's some influence there.
Yeah, that
Like,
could
maybe
be.
there's some.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to get political with that whatsoever. I mean, there has to be additional behind the scenes shit that's affecting it from like at the international.
That could be.
standpoint.
Yeah, that could be.
I mean,
That's
maybe
fair.
some countries don't have access or ability to.
How are you uploading your video to YouTube then? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either. So, you know, excuse me. But I think if CrossFit has a CrossFit Games app, like why can't you have a CrossFit video app? It's
Keep it
just
simple
you
like
know,
that.
yeah, like it's just a question and a thought. Like
Maybe
I
it
don't
would
know.
crash too much with too many people uploading shit at once.
That could be, yeah. So maybe it is like server costs are too exponential, but that does seem like something could be factored into the price that you have to pay to use that app, right? So I don't know, like I don't know the details of running an app very well, but that does seem from face value like a simple solution or like a simple
Yep.
business plan to grow your income exponentially.
Who's an example? What's an example of a sport or something that like follows that trend or follows that? I know like Grid, we have people upload videos and stuff, and they have their own separate thing to upload videos. However, it's not 133,000 people.
Yeah, right.
Potentially, it's far fewer.
Yeah. So Grid has their own uploading.
Yeah.
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 So exactly. So I don't understand like why you can't do that. And now and then once again, you have IP, you have a growth, you have more revenue, and now that revenue can be used for improving your hiring more judges to do video review, or sending that revenue to somebody to develop an AI.
Man, this is actually kind of blowing my mind as to why this seems super fucking simple in this day and age.
It does.
Like, are we missing a piece?
I don't know.
Like,
Probably.
we have to be missing a piece, right?
Probably. Yeah, 100%. Because
what are your guys' thoughts? Leave your opinion in the
Yeah,
comments.
there we go. Yeah, but so like, so that seems like a business route that they could have gone down and gotten exponential revenue from AI, exponential revenue from like, and you have IP, like you have IP at that point in time, like, so it just and like.
Get your own AI stock by creating that shit.
Yeah. So like there's just seems like there's a lot of things that they're missing. And probably from the private equity standpoint of like their business model was to come in, cut costs, and raise dollar prices instead of seeing the actual worth of the company that it can grow into. So
Something's off.
So it's just frustrating.
So something's very off because like you've listed out a singular thing at the very beginning, transparency.
Yeah.
How in the fuck like that piece isn't able to be met?
Yeah.
There's got to be some fucking underground, behind the scenes things that don't allow that to happen.
And
like
we don't know.
Dark web, black market, whatever. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Yeah, because there's no transparency. So, yeah, I don't know.
Didn't CrossFit used to be really transparent? It never really has been, actually. Like certainly,
no, it hasn't.
Dude,
it's always been a kind of buddy system.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's true. I mean, look at
and like, don't get me wrong, everything in the world kind of works that way.
Yeah,
it is like you have to network your way up to the top, right? But CrossFit is like there's people that don't even have a shot at networking their way into a system, and like and then from the athlete side of things, there's a clear. In other professional sports, there's a clear and concise way of a route to get to playing in the professional sport for the most part, right?
Yeah.
In CrossFit, you have people who are literally at the professional level, like Sydney Wells, not even qualifying for your third stage of the competition to get to the CrossFit Games, which is a very, for that individual, almost like guaranteed thing.
Yeah.
Because of a really random piece of the movement that you were looking for,
Interesting. So I want to circle it back a little, like just briefly, because you used the word professional sport again.
Yeah, yeah.
Basketball was founded 1890 what? 1891.
Yeah.
Became like a profitable, like paid people making a lot of money in the 80s. Let's just
Probably
say
the
80s,
yeah.
Right?
Magic Johnson paid his way out of having AIDS.
There you go. Wilt Chamberlain too, but that was more the 70s. But anyway, like 90 years, right?
Yeah.
So I think one thing with that we're not taking into context is like the evolution of everything.
Yeah.
Technology, equipment, entertainment value,
Right,
and so on and
exactly.
so forth. So in my opinion
Monetary
here,
supply.
Monetary supply, especially like instant gratification with people being able to watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, granted the affordability, but
what
like,
I'm talking about is like global money supply.
Yeah. That's fair.
Is
fair.
greater than it was in 1891.
Yeah.
And transactions happen faster. So
in theory, then,
your product should be able to grow if it's on a hot growth trajectory.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting
faster
at.
than 1891 basketball.
Yes. So the 90 years, quote unquote, there's like basketball to grow. CrossFit, in theory,
I can't remember what it's called, but there's something in electronics that I can't remember what rule exactly it is, but it's like every 2 years, technology doubles its like abilities, and that also gets exponentially faster as time goes on.
Yeah.
So it's like the time for a new technology to improve double what it is constantly shortening. Or improve its power, whatever, power output or whatever.
Yeah.
Is shortening at all times.
So with that alone, and the listeners, this does like come into play. 90 years for a sport to become professional. I'll give you 15 years.
What's the UFC's timeline? That started in the late 90s with Pride in Japan.
I think so, yeah.
And then I think UFC came around in
early 2000s.
Yeah.
And 2004, 2006.
And it's paying out its athletes $1 billion plus.
Yeah.
You still have people that are kind of slumming it in that sport, but like to make it in a sport, you kind of have to slum it for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
but now there's like several different offshoots that people are making money with it. Like,
they're
about to sign a $1.6 billion deal with like Netflix or Amazon or something like that. I
don't know if we can compare like UFC to this because like everyone's always watched fighting and violence way back in the day of the gladiators and shit, right?
100%. But you can, and like boxing's always been a thing. There's always been money in boxing.
Yeah.
But you can scale that down a little bit.
True, completely fair. So like, the point that I'm trying to get at with this is like referencing back to the 90 years with basketball becoming pro and this shit and that shit. It shouldn't, like, we're at year, if you go back to the first CrossFit games ever, like, we're at year 19, right? 2006 was the first games? Yeah. So we're at year 19, upcoming year, 19. CrossFit should be pro already.
Yeah.
Even with COVID happening.
Yeah, they just continuously shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, CrossFit should be, like, CrossFit was on the right track, my opinion here, was on the right track to be pro with regionals.
Yep.
And that, like, everything got fucked from there. Had they maintained that track, I think CrossFit would be a professional sport. You and I would not be having this conversation about improving the
we might be having it, but we might be bringing up a lot of different points.
Right. The AI would already be involved, most likely.
Yeah.
Like film review, slow-mo shit, like
you would have transparency around judging processes,
that wouldn't be worried because like if transparency wasn't there, then there's going to be like massive fines put on the company versus like massive fines being put on the company because somebody drowned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I'm sorry to bring that back up, but like that's the only thing I'm aware of that CrossFit's been like in the shitter for.
Yeah.
And had to pay out for something with something that was greatly their fault.
Right.
Whereas like, I mean, I'm sure Roger Goodell has had to pay some stupid shit because he's a corrupt motherfucker, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like,
you're gonna, as a sports entity, you're gonna have lawsuits on your books.
Like, CrossFit would be ready to have that covered and shit if they were to maintain that track. So, like, I'm in firm agreement with you that the transparency is the big one. I honestly think we hit on something hardcore with the AI review. I think like personal opinion, that should be the next step.
100%.
Like they need to develop an AI system.
I agree.
To take away a lot of the workload.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about creating an AI whatever, but like Georgia Tech's down the road. I'm sure we go ask some of those autistic guys to tell us.
Maybe somebody listening to this podcast will.
Honestly, I mean, seriously, like I think a good question to ask the listeners and the viewers at this point is like, what's your opinion? Like, what's your guys' opinion on that? Would AI be the next step?
Cool. Should we end it there?
Okay, if you want to, I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
I don't know. What are we at?
55 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I think we're on out of talking points, to be honest. So
same.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening, guys. Please like and subscribe. Comment on how you think AI should be implemented into CrossFit. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.